market tool that demonstrates the need to preserve affordability in various areas. So it measures a number of indicators that can show that a place is becoming less affordable over time. So if you've got an increase in household incomes, home values, a decrease in families below the federal poverty level, individuals that are employed in management, business, or science, individuals with a 4-year bachelor's degree, that kind of thing. So, and it measures that change over time. Assumption's primary market area tracks, it really is remaining affordable. The ARI scores range from 0 to 1 point in the primary market area. Then we have an opportunity area map. We are phasing opportunity areas out of our tax credit process, but Assumption will remain an opportunity area through 2022, I think. So if you, it will still be effective this coming year if you get an application in, but it will not be effective after the 2023 tax credit round. Then we have revitalization impact areas, which also contribute to scoring in the tax credit application process. And so they contribute to automatic scoring. So Assumption is actually not in a revitalization impact area, but it is surrounded by revitalization impact areas, and just the fact that you have done this planning partnership would help to impact that score as well. Then we have our quality of life index, which is a new tool that we've added just this year to demonstrate just bringing awareness to the details that can make a community strong. And so where you can possibly fill in gaps to enhance the quality of life for your community. We look at aspects involving health, prosperity, and safety, long-term community viability, the 4 census tracts in the primary market area mostly score between 6 and 7 points in quality of life. So the census tract that contains Assumption scored 6 points, with 2 points each in the health and housing categories, while the connectivity and education categories received 1 point each, and prosperity scored 0. So our goal with the community revitalization planning process is actually to help bring that quality of life index score up, because that also contributes to scoring in the tax credit application. Then we can move into the community needs assessment survey, which we have definitely talked about before. We did section that posed 42 questions, sections on needs surrounding COVID-19, as well as mobility, community life, economy, education and wellness, and then community engagement and initiatives. We had about 100 responses in total from the community. We opened it up in February of 2021 and closed it in March of 2021 and compiled those results at that point. We found that, in general, survey respondents disagreed that COVID-19 had impacted their housing situation, either by making their housing costs unaffordable or by losing or concern of losing their housing. But when it comes to the impact on childcare and education and access to amenities, that story is different. 35% of respondents agreed that the pandemic caused a loss of or concern of losing their childcare or education options, while 53% agreed that it impacted their health. The interesting part of these surveys is usually the open-ended responses when people are asked what kind of development they think would help their community. And so we included a few of them here. There's more. I included all of them in one of the appendices, so you can always read through those if you like. But generally, folks want to see more affordable housing for people coming out of flood grant area, for seniors, really embracing the rural location with recreational amenities, more industry, cleaning up buildings in the downtown area, more recreational things for teenagers to do, and fine dining. Like I think DJ's on Chestnut is open already, right?
Yes.
Nice. So that will help fill some of that. And so the survey just goes through, again, housing needs, whether the community feels like it needs more rental housing. More than 70% agree that there is a need for more rental housing, but also 82% agree there's a need for more home ownership opportunities. And also most folks disagreed that Assumption offers housing options that suit a variety of lifestyles and needs. So a greater range of housing at all incomes and all lifestyles and life ages would probably be helpful for the community. And then 3/4 of respondents looking under economy, 3/4 of respondents disagree that that the community has a variety of retail and dining establishments or adequate commercial and retail development, and most can't afford to run the majority of their daily errands without leaving Assumption. 3/4 of respondents agreed that K-12 education is available to meet their needs, and 86% said banking services are available. But only 10% agreed that they can access fresh and affordable food. 12% said that childcare was inadequate, and since you've lost one of your childcare providers, I would imagine that's probably gotten worse. And 30% agreed that health services are accessible. But there's not really, most disagreed that post-secondary vocational education, job training are available in Assumption. And then there's not enough pharmacy care either. It does seem like folks in Assumption agree that there are good opportunities for community involvement. It seems like you've got a lot of folks really involved. There are opportunities for nightlife in Assumption, but most folks say you need more recreational opportunities and more dining, which we've talked about. Less than a third agree that there are good job opportunities in the city, and there's not. People would prefer to see more shopping and retail in Assumption as well. So we've had a number of public meetings. That was one of the things that was delayed by the pandemic, because we weren't allowed to travel, and so virtual meetings are always a challenge. But we did one of our stakeholder meetings virtually in December of 2020, and we did a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis, where folks talked about the strengths of the economic development, so brewery, boutiques, coffee shops, etc., new trail, the pollinator garden, but the nuisance code needs to be stronger. And you don't have any building codes, which can contribute to declining housing quality, especially for renters. Housing development, you've got a strong senior community, you've got access to Decatur and those amenities, but you're not attracting enough young people. You're landlocked, and several of your employers are not based in town, and so that can be a weakness as well. But again, you do have large employers in Decatur close by and a strong primary market area, so you should be able to attract folks, and people are moving in. So, and with the but again, some of the homes are poorly maintained and need help with maintenance, and the homes are older. And so that's something that we can address through other programs at IDA. Through our community affairs program, we've got single family rehab and roof repairs and home accessibility program for homeowners who may need mobility assistance, like putting in bars, adding space for wheelchairs, etc. And overall, you just need more kids' activities, more local involvement. But people say that the walking trail and volunteer groups and everything are good strengths in the community. So now we move into goals and recommendations. We covered that briefly at the beginning. And so I worked up a vision statement, which feel free to tear it apart. In 2047, Assumption is a thriving small city that welcomes new residents attracted by new and rehabilitated housing at all income levels throughout the community. Vacant lots have been cleared and new homes have been constructed, and rental apartments located above the active businesses along Chestnut Street are always occupied. Local community organizations are active in development initiatives and make ample information about Assumption available to new residents and visitors alike. And then I've got the list of goals that we talked about at the very beginning. And so I want to open the floor to thoughts about this overall concept, the vision statement, goals and recommendations.
I like it. I mean, one of the things, just today I was having a conversation is getting the people that own these vacant lots
Mhm.
to sell. And I mean, we have them in town, and you know, people's come to me and it's like, we don't own them. You know, the city, you know, the little parts that we have, we can't put a house on.
Mm.
I mean, we are eventually gonna be getting the Romer place, but as for, you know, lots that I have down by my house, uptown, you know, down by the funeral home, we don't, you know, trying to get the people to sell.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you ultimately have to do. I mean, it'd be great if they would, but you know, those family have reasons
Right,
why
right.
they won't sell them. And same with some houses. You know, there's some houses that could easily be done. You know, one of them, the parents lived there, and so no, my parents was like that.
Yeah.
You know, with my grandparents' house, sat on it for a year, and they ultimately sold it. But that's something that would be nice, but you know, we can't force people to sell
Well,
something
yeah,
if they don't.
you
they
can't
don't
force
sell.
people to sell, but it might be just a matter of educating them and
Mhm.
convincing them that, I mean, it's just a matter of persuasion,
Yeah.
saying, you know, this would be better for the community if we could
Mhm.
aggregate or whatever it is that you wanna do with the properties. And just overall improving the look of the community and making sure that you're able to get new housing in for folks that need it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a tough nut to crack,
It
I
is.
know.
It is.
Small communities, people have,
Yeah, we're not,
their
we're
own
not the only
reasons
one.
and their own
no,
roots
no,
and-
you're
yeah.
absolutely right. And then with the with downtown, I mean, the old grocery store.
Mhm.
I mean, I've talked to the son. I mean, they're ready to turn it over. But then at the same time, does the city want to handle that? I mean, we had, you know, an extra $15,000 on it just because of, you know, the government will have it.
Mhm.
You know, it's local government. It'd be good if an individual was to buy it.
Right.
Yeah, we could work with that. But you know, those are some weird things. I mean, eventually, I think we'll get there by working with them.
yeah, I mean, none of
You
this
know,
is
this is-
fast.
yeah, no, it's
slow
not,
and but you are making improvements along
Improvements,
Chestnut
exactly.
and I think that, I mean, just since I've been coming to town for the last
Mhm.
2.5, 3 years, like I've seen big differences. And so I think it's fantastic what you're doing, but it's just a matter of, you know, keeping the momentum going. So I think as you do start to make these visible changes, especially along Chestnut, I think some folks will come along, I think.
Right, exactly. You know, and the proof is in the pudding. You know,
Of
as you
course.
saw with, you know, 1905 and the DJs, and we had the boutiques. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
And there are some houses that are being given up, that,
Yep.
you know, people's families have lived in, parents are gone now, or in a nursing home,
Mhm.
and so I just recently saw the other day, one of those houses is up for sale
good,
by
good.
owner, so that is moving along slowly but surely, and, you know, it takes a lot when you're working to have to go clean that house up and get it ready to sell.
Yeah.
So that is a big undertaking.
Yeah.
And I agree with you 100%. We need to be more vigilant about making people clean up their yards and keep things cleaned up. We have some major
Yeah.
messes in this town, and we have to get on that.
Yeah, it is difficult, I mean, I don't know what your zoning situation is in Assumption, but without building codes, it is difficult to get people, if you don't have codes, you can't make people come up to code.
I'm also going to say something too, because I have a situation with a lady. She's going to be losing the house come November. And I've talked to her about cleaning up her yard again, about mowing, and she goes, why should I even do it? I'm going to lose it. And then she goes, you can fine me, but I'm not going to pay it. So then, you know, so then it's like, then my back's up against the wall.
Right.
I can fine her every day from now until November the 1st. And then the house would, you know, be with this corporation up in Peoria. And then what? You know, they'll come and say, write the lien off, you know, we're going to, you know, somebody will buy it,
Right.
demolish it. So then it's like, we're out. And then it's like, basically, we did nothing. And that's the problem that
Yeah.
I deal with some of these people. I've sent probably, how many, Janet? 50 letters I bet we've sent out this year, just on mowing and on garbage.
Wow.
And the attitude that I get back is awful.
Huh.
I mean, I just don't say it. You know, we have another, you know, house too. I mean, it's back up in weeds. I'm going to send her another letter, and she just goes, "Go ahead and fine me, but you know, I'm not going to pay it." So I guess we'll go to court. We'll just blow a bunch of money. I mean, I wish that there was some things, but that's the mentality
Yeah,
of some of these people when they live in a junky place.
yeah,
They're not, you know, they're not because they're down on their luck. They're choosing to live like that, and then they don't care.
I mean, I don't know what the solution is.
I know,
but
but I'm
is
just
it-
saying, as
is
a
it-
mayor, that's what, and as
Of
council,
course.
this is what we're coming up against.
Of course. I mean, is it
Mhm.
possible in cases like that, and maybe it's not, but is it possible for the city to come in and just mow the yard?
We can mow it, and then we have an
But that's city
ordinance,
resources.
but then, yeah, and then we will turn around and charge them,
Mhm.
but then it goes back to
But then
the
they
same
won't
thing,
pay it, so it doesn't matter. Yeah.
you know, we can mow it, 10 times the rest of this year, and that'd be about $500 per se. And then so we put a lien on, and then when this corporation wants to sell the house, I'm sure, they'll be like, please, please remove it. They're not coming to us begging,
Mhm.
or they'll settle for pennies on the dollar
Mhm.
for us to remove the lien, and it's just, just some things
Building codes, like, even if you wanted to go back, you can't retro
you can't retro it.
the
No,
Right.
building code, so it basically would just be anything built
from this day forward.
change
Ah,
year forward.
okay.
So you got, it becomes an apply to like maybe 5 houses,
Mhm.
or whatever in the rest of town. And this is
Okay.
what you run into. This is the attitude of a lot of things today. It's not just housing, it's just across the board. They almost view some of the rental properties as disposable because there's no accountability. If you get small claims, there's no enforcement.
Right.
So if you go to court and somebody trashes your rental home and they find them, $15,000 they own you, it's your responsibility to collect the money, and when they don't pay it, the court does nothing.
Oh.
Because we ran into this with my grandparents' house. We sold it through one of the states. Basically, the state was trying to get people out of the housing projects,
Mhm.
so they just gave them like $25,000, but they had no means to do anything past that. But they didn't care because they qualified and they just wanted to give the money out and get them out of the project.
Yeah.
Well, they defaulted within a year, and so we took them to court, and the judge was like, I fined them, I think it was $40-some thousand, and I said, well, what happens now? And he said, you try to collect it, and good luck to you. And that was pretty much the end of it.
That just seems wrong.
Yeah, and this is what you're gonna run in, I'm sure.
Yeah,
The house,
yeah.
and we've seen this with several houses. I know a couple in town that people who live there do not care because they'll live there till it becomes uninhabitable, and then they'll just move on to another property somewhere else and trash that, and you almost can't deny them, rent because then they claim bias or they claim,
Discrimination or whatever.
that you're discriminating against them based off their past experiences, even though that's exactly what it should be based off of.
Yeah.
And so they just live there while they
Well,
can,
they
and when
can, yeah.
the bills come, they move to somewhere else.
And they're renters.
That's why they're not.
Some of them are.
Some-
Mike,
some
in this
of them.
case, they're a homeowner.
Okay.
Two instances are homeowners.
Okay.
So when the oven gets dirty, they leave.
Yeah. That's
Right.
exactly.
Well, like we always say at work, when the bills, we always tell it's the first of the month because they'll start coming in
Yeah,
and
that's
address
true.
changes when the rent's due.
Oh, jeez.
We see that a lot.
Oh my gosh.
And I just wanna note on as far as the vacant homes and the vacant lots, many of them have been like that since I moved to town with Eric in '97. We couldn't find a house, we lived in the apartments for our first few months, cause we couldn't find a house to live in. And I'd be like, well, there's one that's empty, oh, it's been empty for years and they won't sell it,
Yeah, you're right.
so they're not gonna do anything. They've been like that for many, many years.
We've had some of them set as part of divorces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think divorce
is the one.
abandonment
Yeah.
is the biggest issue in the last 20 years.
Mhm.
I know 2 houses that literally crumbled, and it was just because they were fighting and nobody was getting that house.
Mhm.
And so they just collapsed. I mean, that's
Yeah.
literally what happened with this one out here that we're getting ready to take.
Yeah.
And that's been empty for what, 15 years, probably, and the one over here too. It was the same way.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
I don't know. I think there just needs to be some legislation done.
Yeah.
I really do. I think it needs to be at the state level. There needs to be some laws
Yeah.
done.
I wonder, do you all have, and this is not gonna especially address that issue, but do you have like a registry or a list of rental properties and the owners, and like do landlords have to register their
Yeah,
properties?
no, we
with the
don't.
city? No?
I don't think we do.
we found that to be
We
a,
could track something similar to that through the water,
okay.
you know, because you'd have to put down certain deposits.
Okay, because we have had some success in other communities that start making landlords register their properties with the community, so that you know which ones they're renting, if they're occupied, et cetera, et cetera. And so then that gives the city a little bit of an enforcement mechanism, at least with the landlords and the renters. Homeowners are a different animal, I'm sure you know.
Is there something under Illinois statute that sets up like the municipality's authority to do that?
That's a good question. I can find out.
I'm kinda
I don't know the
curious.
entire state code off the
Yeah.
top of my head.
Yeah, well, cause I didn't know if, you know, if by statute that's something the municipality can collect, because I can see some of the rental places, you know, kind of balk and not want to give up a lot of information. But if we pass an ordinance that's backed by state statute, they don't have a choice.
Yeah, you're right.
I'll find out.
Yeah,
I'm curious. It might not be a bad idea.
Alright. So let's leave that aside for the moment. The next section is the funding and implementation, and so this section just goes through local development tools, whether there's an enterprise zone program, which there is in Christian County, which does cover some piece of Assumption. Yeah, like the southeast portion of the community. This is Assumption, right? It's up at GSA, yeah. So they've got enterprise zone incentives. There's the TIF, which we've got the tax increment financing redevelopment plan project that will expire in 2040. That encompasses mostly the commercial district along Chestnut and North Street, and then some mostly open land on the outer boundaries. Some of which they're planning for that 16-unit new housing development, the last I heard.
We're just talking, I mean,
Oh.
there's nothing yet.
Nothing happening yet. Alright. Opportunity zones, which there aren't any here, so, in historic districts, there are some historic buildings. The Illinois State Bank building here in town, was put on the National Register of Historic Places in 1984. So any, construction or rehabilitation on that building would have certain incentives and certain guidelines attached to it. But there's no district in the community, so you wouldn't have to worry about that. We've talked a little bit about the multifamily financing programs, the low-income housing tax credit at IDA. This page goes through a little bit about how that credit works. And then the next couple of pages, 117, 118, have photo examples of some developments that have been funded by the low-income housing tax credit. The Tiger Senior Apartments in Paris is actually an adaptive reuse of their original high school, which is really cool. It's right on the downtown.
I've seen that, it is, it's really nice. I
It's
got a
big.
photo of it from a calendar, yeah.
They've done a really nice job of
We
it.
walked over there one time because we were across the street
Uh-huh.
visiting the other lot 50.
Uh-huh.
Man, this is like right down the street from it. We thought they were just apartments. We didn't realize it was senior apartments. And so we walked over and it's,
They've done a beautiful job with it.
Yeah.
They really have. And like this one was really interesting because when we got the application at IDA, my program was very new. We were just working with the consultants and the developers, and they gave us dozens of support letters from folks in the community who had gone to high school there and were super excited about the possibility of getting to live in their old high school. That was one of the things that helped tip them over the edge to get that tax credit.
so what kind of tax credit, in something like this, I mean, obviously it's a very broad question, but, so we have the old Bond Elementary School
Mhm.
sitting out here
Right.
doing nothing.
Right. This was low-income housing tax credits. So the apartments are for seniors at 60% area median income. They had a number of different financing sources in their capital stack, but the low-income housing tax credit, I believe they got the maximum number of credits, so it was like 1.5 million credits a year for 10 years. So it's a significant, there's about 15 million as their capital stack. And so they had, what happens is the developer is awarded the tax credit and then turns around and sells those tax credits to usually a bank.
Okay.
And the bank becomes a general partner. in the development. And so they supply the equity for that building, and and so that's the money that goes into doing the rehab or doing the construction. I will tell you, adaptive reuse, particularly of old school buildings, is very challenging. You need to have a developer that knows what they're doing and knows what they're getting into, because a lot of times you're gonna have asbestos, you're gonna have mold, you're gonna have, any number of challenging issues. But if you get a good developer, they know what they're doing and they can do it efficiently and safely.
Do you guys have like kind of a list of the ones that have done that?
I can tell you for Tiger Senior Apartments, was done by Laborers Home Development. We are actually not able to recommend any particular developers, but the Illinois Housing Council was a trade group of affordable housing developers, and they would be able to, if you contact them, they would be able to refer specific developers that might be interested.
Is the what?
Illinois Housing Council.
Amy, I wanted to back up. I couldn't quite hear. Did you say that there is points for historical building?
There's not points for historical buildings. Their adaptive reuse can fit into some of the overall like green and sustainability standards that we have as part of the application process, but we don't currently have specific points available for historic building reuse.
Because since this survey, this ended in 19, what's the survey till?
The census data that we pulled is from 2019, but the community needs assessment survey that we did was just in 2021.
Okay, because I was thinking when you spoke of DJ's, that's a historical building that's been made into the restaurant.
Right.
And also the La Charity, the lawyer office on the corner.
Mhm.
I didn't know if those were counted, so, okay, that answers my question.
We also, the low-income housing tax credit is only used for housing. We can't apply it for commercial properties.
I see.
So in Normal, we've got these cottage apartments, photos. Emerald Ridge is actually a really cool development in East Alton. The community was actually built as, it used to be called the defense area, and it was built as temporary worker housing for defense plants in the East Alton area for World War II. And it was supposed to be temporary, and then it was never deconstructed after World War II, and people continued living in them, and slumlords bought them and rented them out. And it was just barrack-style properties. And so eventually, we participated in some of the redevelopment of that area in East Alton. And so the picture on the left for Emerald Ridge is the old barrack-style housing, and the picture on the right is the new tax credit rental housing, which, they're just amazing little cottages. They all look very different. They're all colorful. The developers also redone the park and a lot of the surrounding area as well. So it's a really nice looking development. And then Maple Ridge 2 is also in Paris, was also done by Laborers Home Development. That's been a very successful new construction tax credit housing development. They've got the duplexes where you've got one unit on top and one unit on the bottom, and then they've got this side-by-side duplex design as well. So this is just a good illustration of what you can get with affordable housing. It's not like the big towers or anything like that. You can all kinds of different ones.
I'm
Yes,
sorry.
ma'am.
Is there any type of tax credits that we get for working on our park?
Not for a municipality,
I don't think so.
Yeah. I don't think of any.
So, I know of the New Market tax credit, but I think we don't work with it, so I'm not very familiar. I think it's mostly just for commercial and economic development.
Okay.
If you
DCEO,
could get
yeah.
some corporations to donate, that could be a tax write-off for them.
Well, and the Illinois Department of Natural Resources may have something, I just am not aware of it.
Yeah, that's true.
And so the next pages go through the affordable housing tax credits, the eligible donations. We do have a state affordable housing tax credit that's based on donations. So we can take donations of land, buildings, art, silver, really anything you can think of. And the donor gets a 50% tax credit, and those tax credits can also go to finance affordable housing. Those can actually go up to higher income levels, up to 120% of the area median income, so that can help finance some more market rate housing as well. And then on page 120, we have, the next several pages, we have the overall community revitalization thresholds and scoring for the low-income housing tax credit. And so this just goes through the different indicators that we're looking at when we're scoring these applications for the community revitalization. These are up to 10 points. Again, the goal for this document is that it will be worth these 10 points in the tax credit application, therefore being attractive to developers. On page 126, we start into IDA's other revitalization and repair programs. So Strong Communities Program, municipalities can qualify for grants up to $250,000 to help pay for acquisition, rehabilitation, demolition, lot treatment, really anything to do so that the community can help clear blight and abandoned properties. So this is something that might be worthwhile.
So, okay, so I guess let's just say we go through a scenario to where a person loses their house, this company owns it. Could we then buy that house from this company, and then we could use something like this, like these grants to demolish it, and then we sell the land?
Yeah,
or something?
you can use this program to buy the property.
Yeah.
And so grants up to $250,000 to help buy the property, to demolish it.
$50,000 buy a lot of properties. Weird.
Yeah, but it's gotta pay to demolish it too.
Well, no, you're exactly right.
That's
You're
it.
exactly
That's
right.
very expensive.
Yeah,
Unless we
you're
unless we
right.
go back to the old practice burns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, we didn't mean to say that for everybody.
We also have a land bank capacity program and have technical assistance for that too. There is Central Illinois Land Bank that covers Champaign. I want to say it covers Decatur.
Decatur's they just did it, they're just getting ready to. So I checked into this after you met with us last time. So this started out of Danville,
Yeah.
then moved to Champaign, and Decatur is actually, they have a bank, and they have two designated people that are gonna run their part of the
Okay.
land bank. And I think they're in the process of getting approved to officially join the Champaign-Danville.
Okay,
And
that's
then that's
great.
the last I talked to them about it.
That's great. I mean, I would think since you are located close to Decatur, it wouldn't be that difficult to at least contact the land bank executive director. I think his name is Mike. Shoot, I lost it. It's there somewhere. I lost it. And see if he'd be interested in extending farther down from Decatur. And the point of land banks is they can help the community extinguish those back taxes if there are any, can help the community gain control of the property more easily, and help eliminate any of the extra costs. You can aggregate property using the land bank. It might be something worthwhile looking into. We have a home accessibility program that I mentioned previously that can help income eligible seniors and disabled folks to put in grab bars and wheelchair accessible in their homes to keep them out of an institution for longer. We have a single family rehab program. It's up to $45,000 per door to help homeowners make income eligible homeowners make those repairs to their homes. And then we also have a roof only award as part of that, up to $16,000 for households that need roof replacement or repair. But single family rehab program does not directly fund homeowners. I think I've mentioned this to you all before. But the municipality or a nonprofit has to apply for most of these funding programs. And so then once the municipality or the nonprofit has the money in house, you can then grant it out based on receipts.
Was that supposed to start up maybe this fall?
I think
You know,
so.
Program?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. I think we've got a round opening this fall.
Would ACPA qualify?
ACPA would as a nonprofit, yeah, and then so would us as a city, too. We'd have to get ACPA on board to do
I was
it.
gonna say partnering together might make for a stronger
We
application.
could, yeah.
And then we have a few foreclosure prevention programs that have actually been declared unconstitutional by the Illinois Supreme Court, so we're not gonna talk about those. And, various rental housing resources, rental housing support program, long-term operating support, rehab programs. The Illinois Rental Payment Program, I believe, is closed at the moment, but has been, our COVID emergency relief funds we've been granting out to, renters and homeowners who are behind on their rent or their mortgages. We have a number of down payment assistance programs through our, lending partners. And then, we have a number of first mortgage products for eligible homeowners or home buyers. Mortgage credit certificate, and then we can offer, housing and financial counseling through, others of our partners. Locally, there's an office in Pana, there's an office in Taylorville, Shelbyville, and Decatur. And then, we have the appendices, so we've got glossary, sources and reference. I've got all of the census data that we looked at listed out there. I've got all of the results from the Community Needs Assessment Survey, and all of our, programs and resources that we just talked about, but all in one, handout sheet. That's it. It's a lot of work.
I'll read it. You can read it when you're excited, Gary.
Yeah. Well, there's a difference between reading and comprehending.
True.
Well, I want to thank you for coming, making the trip down. Probably this weekend, so thank you for coming down. For putting this all together for us and telling us the directions that we could go. It's going to make a great impact on the community.
So what is the next?
Well, the next step, is, I can obviously make some of the changes that we had discussed, the little mistakes and stuff like that, and get a fresh draft to you. But the next step is for the city to adopt it as a plan. And then we would wanna get, the copy of that resolution or ordinance, or however you handle it. We would include that in the final document that comes to the city, and then, this is yours. You would use it however you like. You can use it it can contribute to applications for any number of IDA programs. It can also contribute to applications for, through other state agencies, the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, if you wanna look at recreational possibilities through, Department of Natural Resources. Really, it would be a good contribution to any number of funding opportunities that the city might be interested in pursuing. We can help certainly with the IDA programs and anything else through state agencies that we can, work our relationships through them and offer assistance through that process as well. But yeah, we'll put this, once we have the final doc and all the, resolution and everything put together inside it, we'll post it on our website, with the blurb, about how the process came together. And, so it's possible developers could find it through our website, but also if you all are calling, Illinois Housing Council or have local folks who are interested, this is worth 8 to 10 points in the tax credit application, so just come here, build housing.
Can we link to it off of our city website
I don't see why not.
if people are interested in it? Cause that was my other question, do we have publication rights over it?
It's
Okay.
yours.
Cool.
I mean, part of the agreement that, the scope of work that was signed is that you all it's your document, you'll
Okay.
own it. But we will have the right to publish it on our website, that can help attract developers as well.
Cool.
That's where we are.
Thank you.
Absolutely, you're welcome.
Thank you very
My
much.
pleasure.
So,
Oh, no, just go ahead and take it away. You're ready to adjourn it.
alright, so, I'll make a motion to adjourn the, special meeting.
I'll second.
I think we have to do a vote.
No, you don't have to do it. It's already got two. All right, we're adjourned. Go.